go longer if it's necessary, but normally we have been able to address the questions and suggestions in that period. So what we have here right now is basically today we've had a bunch of questions and suggestions in the past week. As school is out right now, we have some school bus operators that have more time on their hands, so they have been giving us a lot of suggestions, and they're looking for a lot of customization in the program for their operation, and we welcome all of that. But it just takes time to implement. Sometimes it takes uh, a month, 2 months to implement the feature, and then it takes another month or two to perfect it, and even then we find that we have to still tweak it for some customers because of their specific needs. So this week we have CDC with us. CDC is from Canada. They've they have our software and they're running it locally. And the question was when they're putting in the pictures of their buses into the vehicle uh, table, why are they getting the picture to show up? My quick answer, and I think this is probably what's causing it, is that you have to actually click on the reservation. So if you just go in um, by default, when you go to the calendar, you don't see the picture because obviously there's all these buses here listed, and it doesn't know which one to display the picture for. But if you click on that reservation, that booking, then the picture should display. So um, please do that and then let me know. I do intend to, because they're running locally on their own machine. I would get together with her later and see about that. But that's the quick answer: is that most likely you're not clicking on the booking, so you're not seeing it. And do
Now, does
yeah.
the order have to be booked in order for that to pop up, or can you click
No,
on the vehicle on the side?
no. It's just basically as long as um, it shows up, as long as it shows up on the grid, then
That's what I'm
obviously,
saying. It
yeah.
has to be on an order on the grid. You can't just click on the equipment on the
I don't,
left-hand
I
side.
don't think so. No, I don't think by clicking on it, it would. I mean,
No.
we could
Okay.
probably do that, but I don't see any benefits of having that. I think the benefit would be if you click on the reservation to see the bus picture. But yeah, that's basically what it is, most likely. So if you can try that, please, and then let us know if that worked for you. That would be great. Okay. Then we had several other questions. We I had an email from Larry from All Aboard earlier um, this week, and he was looking for more automation. And so what we are doing, we have the technology to do automatic emails, and that's the hard part was writing the code that deals with the automatic service. We have Don with us, Don Young, and Don. Hi, Don. We were talking about automation, and we also were talking about like questions from customers and answers. If you notice here that we were talking about automatic emails, and we introduced the automatic emails almost 2 years ago, but only a handful of customers are using the uh, automated emails. The reason is that it's sort of a one rule right now. It's got one, just basically there's a rule, and the rule is that you're kind of like limited to the time frames that we have. Currently, we have a notification sends out to the customer 24-hour before the trip. We send an automated email. Email goes to the customer. If I can type here, to the customer, and 12-hour before the trip. So the service runs and 24/7, and it sends an email to the driver. And then 2 hours before the trip, it sends out another reminder to the customer with the driver information. So what we're finding is that some of our customers are saying, "Oh no, that's not good. I want to remind my driver 24 hours before the trip." Or sometimes they say, "We want to remind the customer 72 hours before the trip." I mean, it just gets kind of out of hand. We have to first figure out what you need, and then talk to our programmer and say, "This is the parameters that we're dealing with," um, and give you those options. Um, Somebody says, see, like for example, in this case, Larry is saying, send the confirmation 1 week prior, and so who is to say, what should be the basically the parameter for that, and what works for one maybe doesn't work for another. So we probably, what we should do is, most likely for the time frame, we have to put that in terms of hours, and then let you decide how many hours in a setting somewhere. So you can say 72 hours, 150 hours, and whatever the hours that
Probably
translate.
days. Days would
Days.
be better.
Yeah,
One,
days.
two,
But see,
three,
there could
four,
be,
five.
but you could also say, on the first notification I want 72 hours, but on the final notification I want it to be 2 hours before the trip. So it has to be, for the programmer to do that, it'll be so much easier if it's translated in just one unit. That would be the hours. So because you can easily multiply the 7, translate the 2 weeks into hours, and it doesn't have to be exact usually. I find that even talking to David from Arizona corporate coach, or currently Avalon, he mentions that it just doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be exactly 2 hours, just as long as it's around 2 hours, or around 12 hours, because also we have to also consider the fact that we have East Coast customers and we have West Coast customers. And in case of CDC, for example, they're on the East Coast time, Dawn is on the West Coast. So the server has to know how to accommodate for that. But I think most of our customers I've talked to agree that that doesn't have to be exact time. It's just, it's an approximate time, like two couple of hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. It's just so that the customer is reminded. That's really what they care about. And so we probably have to do that in a parameter somewhere where you define the time frame. Right now it is static, and we are working on it. And the other thing that we're working on is giving you the option to change the format of the email, just like you can do with the the manual email reminders. You can do manual email reminders now, and you can go in to the setting and go into outgoing messages, and then go to driver reminder and change the format. So you can change the format, the wording, and with the tags, you can define what type of information will be sent to the driver and what type of information gets sent to the customer. You can do that with the manual system, and we will soon give you the option to do that with the automated emails as well. So automated emails, the difference between the automated emails and manual emails is that the automated emails is a service that gets installed it's already installed on our cloud servers. In the case of CDC, for example, it would be added as a service on their local machine, and then that service runs 24/7, and it checks the trip's date and time, and if it sees that the customer needs to be reminded, it sends a reminder. If it sees that the driver needs to be reminded, it will send a reminder. Now, Larry says, can it also do a notification for the driver to be sure he's out of bed? Like a one day before reminder, 2 hour before reminder, text, email, electric shock, whatever. He came up with this this himself. Basically, yes, you can. What's really cool about our system now is that text messaging is very accurate, and I don't think email reminders are going to be as effective as text, because email reminders sometimes it takes for a driver few hours, and and sometimes a lot of times drivers don't. I myself don't have reminders for my email messages. I don't. You know, do you, Anthony? Do you have reminders for your email? I mean, I just check my email every few hours. I just see if there's something in my inbox and I respond. But if text messages, you get an immediate response from from the driver, because it pops up immediately, and they'll hear a beep, and it could be used as a wake up call. So we could even go as far as sending a text message to the driver 2 hours before the yard time, or 3 hours before the yard time. Depends on how you want to set it. Again, it probably needs to be a parameter. So you can say just 1 hour before the yard time, before the sign on time, wake up the driver, depending on how your drivers are scattered. So if your drivers are usually close to the yard, maybe an hour is enough. So you set that parameter, and our system will send a text message to the driver notifying that the trip is coming up and they need to be at the yard at a certain time. So we are going to definitely take these into consideration, and we're going to implement these. We already have all the mechanism. As I showed you last week, we already have the text messaging working with Tulio, and so it's really powerful. It works in U.S., Canada. It works in any country now, really. It's not limited to just the U.S. and Canada. And so I can show you that at the end of this session. I'll show you the text messaging feature. And so that's already the technology that we added, so we can uh, implement it for you if you like. Again, Larry goes on to saying that they use JJ Killer for uh, ELD, and he's asking if we can do integration with um, ELD systems.
I'm
Yes,
gonna get
we
a
can do.
salad.
We can do definitely
I'm gonna get a
integration with
salad.
ELD.
What did you ask me?
So let me go ahead and unmute. I'm gonna
I,
go ahead and
I'm
mute
going to.
everybody, and then because I know there's some people that are
Okay, good.
having
Okay.
people. Let me just
That was
mute.
a Pepsi.
Just a second, please. So, right, let's go. Attendees, audience, attendees, mute everyone, mute all. Sorry, guys, I had to mute everyone because we have more and more people joining, and there's some background noise. So I can immediately unmute you if you need to ask your question, but um, I'm going to mute everyone because there was a lot of background noise. Anyway, so the next topic that we were talking about here is um, ELD integration. We are recording this session. I know some of you are coming late. Craig just joined us from um, Alpha Omega Tours, Damon just from Kiana Tours, Kenny from Lion Express. Welcome, welcome everyone. So I'm recording this session, and I think this is a very important session. I think everybody will be will benefit from these questions and suggestions. I will post this recording on YouTube, and you will all have access to this recording if you want to share it with your office staff. Okay, so the next topic that we are talking about is ELD integration, and All Aboard Charters in Florida is saying basically that they would like to um, integrate with JJ Keller and be able to make the system smart enough to know that if the driver is already starting the bus, then that is an indication that the driver is on the job, and it can send a notification to the dispatch. All of this is possible because JJ Keller does have API, Keep Trucking has API, and with the API, we can get this information from the device, and we can make our system smart enough to be able to update the dispatch grid. We can make our system notify dispatchers with an email, with a text message, and this is all possible. Uh, um,
One of the other things Jay and I were talking about before the session started is we have a web portal that is available to everyone,
yes.
and you can assign drivers, as many drivers as you want, so that they can come online and check their work. So this could be another way that the driver can log in once they've reached the yard, or that they're on their way to the yard. Some kind of a notification where the driver can come in and let you know on that particular order that they're
Yes.
logged in, and then that way the dispatcher can get a notification. Obviously, if the driver has not logged in, then there's a problem and a call has to be made.
Well, it's just a matter of a rule. You set a rule that for each trip that you start, you can just basically check yourself in. By checking yourself in, just basically all you have to do is just click on that particular trip and say checked in. He can just check in. Obviously, he can't change anything on the trip itself, but he can just simply change the status to checked in on his phone, or prior to leaving his home. He can log in and say, okay, I'm checked in for this trip. These are some of the things that you can do with just implementing some rules inside the company. That's what we need to do. We need to, and even we could even have them respond to a text message that they're checked in. We can send a text message, automated text message to the driver for that trip for that day, and we can do that now with the new service that we've implemented, and they can respond, yes, one, checked in, two, and if we don't see that one response, then the dispatcher would be able to get a red flasher, flashing on that particular trip in the dispatch grid, or get an email. These are some of the things that we need to know from you. What works for your company? What would you be able to implement? Because obviously you have to implement this new set of rules inside your company. What can you expect from your drivers? Will your drivers uh, respond to emails? Will your drivers log in to check themselves in? It's really not a big process. Just log in. They could be just logged in to the site all the time and then just simply check themselves in for that particular trip. And if they're just dealing with maybe one or two trips a day, that's really simple. Just putting a checkbox next to the trip on their phone, and then they're checked in, and the dispatcher can see that they're checked in, and they can proceed with that particular order. But if they're not checked in, then they can go ahead and. But what Larry is saying here is that he wants it to be so automated that he can basically let me close this window. I want to close this window so I can see everything. Yeah, good. The go to meeting window was in front. So what he's saying that basically um, he wants it integrated into the ELD. But part of the problem with the ELD is that you have different people using different ELD systems. Obviously, that would be one limitation. We have, I know Don is using JG Keller, and then we have some customers like Canyon Coach, they're using um, Keep Trucking, and so it becomes a big integration issue. I mean, we can do that. I mean, they have the API that can give us a lot of this information. They can give us the odometers. They can give us DVIR information for the maintenance. But the question is, can we develop a system that works for all of these different systems? I know that these are not just the two companies. There's so many ELD services out there, and some are not even going to continue. It seems like some of them are not going to stay in the business. They found that it's just too complex. Plus, yeah, I guess the cost of that uh, system is also important. Anthony mentions. But anyway, these are some of the things that we need to know from you. I mean, you guys think about it. You guys talk with your staff about it. But we can do any of all of these things are possible. But we want to be sure that if we develop it to the point where it's a feature, you guys use it. I mean, obviously, it takes a lot of effort to implement a feature and to get to be able to give you these features. And so and and so we need to know basically what is it that going to be uh, the best solution for you. It's about you, not about us. We have to do a lot of programming to make this happen, but we have to know how is it going to help you. So the thing is that Anthony can probably chime in. If Anthony can come in if you want to talk about the cost and everything, because Anthony's right. There's some costs associated with some of this too.
Yeah, obviously, since there are different ELDs out there and so many people are using different ELD companies, uh, as long as they have an API, we can do integration, but there is we have to consider the cost. If there's a large enough group of people who are using JJ Keller or Keep Trucking, then obviously that cost is going to be driven down, and maybe that cost could be eliminated. But if it's something that you as an individual company need an integration with your ELD, then we have to have a discussion with you and get questions answered so that Jay can talk to the programmers and we can determine how many hours is this going to take, what's going to be involved, and then we can come back to you and let you know, okay, yes, we've had this same request from a dozen people, or this is an individual request, so cost will be determined based on those parameters. And then we also have a question from Damon asking if the web portal is available now. Yes, the web portal is available now. It has to be set up for each individual company. There is, if you go to tv.driveware.com, there's a couple of videos there. You might want to take a look at those and make sure that it's something that you want to be using. The people who are using it, it's a very powerful tool. Because your drivers can log in, your customers can log in, your customers can, you can set up a button or a link on your website where customers can come on and request a quote. And then that information that they enter as far as trip information, the basic information, is brought right into DriveWare, and you're notified that somebody is requesting a quote. You go into your DriveWare system and bring up the quote number and finalize it, and then you can call the customer or email the customer.
Yes, and CDC, I do have a response that they found the I showed them. They had a question earlier, and I showed. I'm glad this meeting was beneficial to you, so she was able to see that picture now. So the answer, she got the answer she was looking for. Okay, so let's go on. Yes, as far as the quote, I'm talking about this section now. Again, Larry says follow-up quote follow-ups. We do have a quote reminder that is a feature in the automated emails module that can send automatic emails to customers reminding them that the quote that they have with the company is expiring. In other words, here's the situation. We have a lot of customers that are saying that, not a lot, but just there are some customers that have been telling us that they have a situation where the customer calls for a quote and they give them a quote, and then they never call back, and they assume that they are going to be they assume that it's going to become a work order, or it's already booked, and so they call like a few days before, and say, oh yeah, I just want to confirm, and some of our operators are saying, well, we don't have any buses. You didn't confirm it. You didn't tell us that you want to go, and then so we didn't confirm you. So we added a feature in there about a year ago where it's automatically sending an email reminder 72 hours before the trip, and it reminds the customer that their quote is expiring, and that if they don't call or if they don't confirm by email, their quote is going to be expired. And that has saved them thousands of dollars, because they can now confirm the order. They can make sure that they have buses for that day, and they won't even go and take that into even even before 72 hours, like making maybe even a week or several weeks before, send reminders to, as far as because they say that they need to make sure that they have equipment available. And that's, if it's just last minute and they call and say, "Where's my bus?" and say, "Well, you never confirmed." And so these are some of the problems we're trying to solve, and we have solved some of them already. It's just that, how do we make this so that it works for everybody? Because obviously, we mentioned earlier that, here we have a notification that sends out 24 hours before already in our system, but uh, Larry says, no, that's not enough. We want 1 week prior. So we need to get some parameters from you guys. I think that 2 reminders for the customers, and maybe one driver, one email reminder for the driver, and maybe a one text message to the driver should be sufficient for everybody right now. Obviously, I'm sure we're going to get some more people saying, no, I need 3, I need 4. So I think more of our time is going to be spent into finding out what works for everybody. And basically, it's just like creating like the specifications for the complete module. We have a module that sends out automatic emails, but it's not parameter driven. It's basically, these are the rules. If you want us to enable it for you, you would be expecting this. And it's going to be just a generic email with the information about the trip. That's what we programmed for one of our customers. He's been using it for 2 years. He came from Lemo Anywhere. He was using Lemo Anywhere for more than 14 years, and he switched to our system. He loves this feature, and he always tells us, that's Arizona Corporate Coach, formerly Arizona Corporate Coach, now they're called Avalon Group. And so uh, this is a feature that he's been using for about 2 years now. This is nothing new. But if you notice that the parameter is kind of static, and if you can work with these numbers, the 24-hour, 2 hour, and we'll be happy to turn it on for you, and you can see those automatic emails going out. So you don't have to get out of bed in the middle of the night to deal with the customer's questions. This is doing it for you. So, and he tells us it saves him a lot of hours, a lot of time. So anyway, so going on to the quote reminder, what Larry wants, it's interesting because every company is different. You notice that he's saying that he wants to send a reminder, which is interesting. He wants to send a reminder and then be able to, inside the email, um, give them a couple of options. Do you want us to book the trip? Yes. Do you have any questions? Or no, we went to another company. We went. So he wants to get a response back, automated response back from the customer, that will either send him an email telling him that the customer went with another company, or he wants to confirm, and then maybe even have it automatically change the status to work order when they do say that they want to confirm. So we can do that because we have the technology, as we showed you before. Like when you're sending out um, in the dispatch grid, obviously right now this is manual, so you can go ahead and say send, for example, um, trip feedback. Okay, so we're sending a trip feedback to the customer right now. If we check our email, we can see that we have buttons here that the customer can respond from, right? They can say they're happy with the trip. They're okay with the trip. and that information gets saved in the work order. When they click happy, it will put happy in the customer in here. It inserts a record. So based on the email, the button that they click on the email, our system gets updated with that information. So this is not any different than what Larry is asking, where he says he wants to say, do you want to book this trip? And the customer responds from the button and says, yes, book it. We went with another company. So that information can be saved inside the trip and as a note or as an option where it changes the status of the trip. That's really easy to do for us because we already developed a mechanism that can do updating from inside an email. So it's just a matter of changing some of the logic to accommodate what you need. Obviously, it does that for the customer feedback already. So it's not that hard for us to do that for the code. It's not hard for us to do that for any of the other parameters. We can do that. Obviously, I think you guys have seen this before, where you can say, "Oh, can you? Let's see if a driver is available for this particular trip, because maybe this is a special type of trip, and you want to see if a driver is available." And you go up here and you select the driver, and you say, Are you available?" So you can send that to the driver, and the driver gets an email now with some buttons: checked in route, accept. So you can actually have the system automatically change the trip status, based on their response. So we have the technology. It's just a matter of the parameters that you want for your company. Each company is different, and you notice that Larry here wants 1 week prior to the trip, wants to send out the email confirmations, and David at Avalon wants 24-hour, and he wants 2 hours before the trip with the driver information. Now, why does he want 2 hours before the trip? Because obviously he doesn't want to have to deal with the customer's question, who's my driver? That's what he is dealing. That's why he wants this information on the email that gets sent out to the customer. 2 hours before the trip, the customer automatically gets an email. The driver's name, the assigned driver, the driver's name and phone number is there. He doesn't have to deal with it. So if this works for you, we'd be happy to turn it on for you, and you can see the benefits. But our programmer is working on the our programmer is working on giving the parameter to you, so you can overwrite this to 72 hours, 12, 24 hours, 4 hours. You can set that yourself. He's working on that, and we'll be probably finishing this up in a week or two, where you can go in and change those parameters yourself. Okay. I had a quick session with Canyon Coach Lines in Nevada. They use our system there they've been using it for more than 2 years. CDC just got on board with us. They're in Canada, Ontario area. Welcome, CDC. Canyon Coach also had some. It seems like everybody is now looking into smart, because I think probably because more and more people are using Alexa, and they're using their Siri, and they tell the system that they want something and it'll do it for them. And I think we like that, but it's just that we want to make sure that if we program these parameters for you, we want to make sure that you guys put them to use and use them. Like, for example, we introduced the customer feedback, but the feature where the customers can respond, but not too many people are using it. Text messaging, we introduced the new text messaging. Not too many people are using it. Of course, the text messaging feature is still not available on all of our servers, but even the ones that already have it in the beta status, only like just a handful are using it. So what we talked about in our session with Canyon Coach is about the unpaid orders, because what's happening also is that if customer books an order with you, even if it's changed from a quote status to a work order status, but they haven't paid for it, so it's unpaid. Their concern is that you need to pay for that order. If you don't pay for that order, then obviously um, you might not be able to have the buses because it's especially if it's busy season, you're not going to have those buses, and so they don't pay for the order, and then you because they didn't pay for it, you went ahead and assigned those to another uh, charter, and then they call a couple of days before the trip and they want to go with it, and you say, well, we weren't able to um, uh, get your response, and so we went ahead and assigned those buses to another customer. So this is the kind of thing that we want to know. Is any of you here in this meeting today having any issues with this type of problem, like not having enough buses for a certain day because of the busy season, or because of not confirming? We're trying to find the problem first, and then we're trying to apply the solution. So what is the problem exactly? Is it just because, is it specific to this one customer, or is this something that happening to all of you guys? What's going on out there? Because we are not obviously in your offices every day. We don't know what's going on in those offices. We don't know what type of issues you're dealing with. But obviously, David is concerned with this because, you know, they have orders that are unpaid, and they have to be reminded that they need to confirm and pay for the order in order to get, um, you know, uh, the reservation confirmed and to get those vehicles assigned to them. And then another thing that he was looking for was they really have some really new, nice equipment there in their office in Las Vegas, and he wanted to sort of like also be able to show some of the vehicle type pictures, which is possible also. Also, we talked about driver notification for them and some vehicle maintenance features. But we are documenting everything, and as we document, we talk to you guys, and then we will discuss the what needs to do, for our programmer to do for you guys. That is the most important part: is the parameters, what the specifications. Question is the text messaging is available now? Yes, it is. We are. Um, Giving it on like a beta status right now. Pretty soon it's going to be released to everybody. Basically, with the text messaging feature, you can go and you can do it from your dispatch grid, or you can even do it from the here when you're in the trip and you assign a driver. Let's say I will send this to myself here, and we'll put some information here. So we have some pickup information, some destination information. And you notice that we now have an SMS. This actually is going to be renamed to just SMS, and this will be email to SMS, because realistically, when you're sending with this black SMS option, you're sending your message through an email that gets translated to an SMS message through the carrier. So it requires the carrier, and there's a lot of work that has to be done before the message gets delivered. And sometimes the message doesn't get delivered because of the spam and those issues that we all have to deal with. But with this new SMS service, you can send the message. So I'm sending a message now, and it's sending. And I just received it. Let me just turn it on. Okay. So I received the message, and I can respond. This is what's cool about this, is that I can say, yes, we'll take this trip. So you're sending this to the driver responds. Now the response from the driver can be seen in the messages. So here I typed in my phone, that's, yeah, yes, we'll take this trip, because the information was sent. So it keeps a log of everything that gets sent out and everything that gets basically sent back from the driver's phone to the dispatch. So that's what we are excited about, is that this is true SMS and it works everywhere, and it doesn't require email as an email service. It doesn't require even Wi-Fi or good cellular reception. It works everywhere. And another thing that we're working on right now is the responses. So you could send the message and then have a couple of options for the driver for responses, 1, 2, 3, and then they'll be able to respond from the text message. And then that triggers some changes that needs to be done on our server. So this is something that we're excited about. This is what we've been working on for the past few months. And it's exciting because it definitely adds a lot of possibilities in terms of the wake-up calls that we were talking about earlier. And because it does definitely can make some sounds and some noises and get the driver's attention. Okay, there's some questions here. In regards to emailing the customer driver info, if a trip has multiple buses, is there a way to send the customer all the driver and bus numbers info for the order? I do not see the. Yes, no, not right now, John. It's each individual bus, as you know, is treated as a record. So here is a record for bus 1, here's a record for bus 2, bus 3, and so on. So what you're asking is that, is there a way that you could send it so that it loops through all of the orders and for that particular order number and send the, yes, that's a good feature to add. I don't see the choice for the driver from the email customer button. Yes, no, that feature. Again, if you notice, these buttons here, email driver, email customer, they're recent. They're in the past. We just added these in the past 6 months. So again, these are fairly new and we're still getting more feedback from our customers. Right now it's just one at a time, but we will give you the option. So when you go in here, when you say email driver, you can say there'll be an option for email all drivers, or all customer, email all trip information to the customer, not just the first, not just the one that's highlighted, but basically by looping through and sending. Can it be set up so that the information is only sent when we want it, not automatically? Not all customers are adamant about having driver info. Yes. Good question. Anthony, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
There was a question that was missed up above, but go ahead and answer that and we'll get to it.
Oh, okay. Let me answer Don's question and then we'll get to that one. Okay. All right. So Don is asking, can it be set up so the information is only sent when we want it to, not automatically? Well, obviously you can send it by just manually highlighting an order and then just say send. But if you're talking about, and then you have two, I guess your question is in two parts, and then you say not all customers are adamant about having driver info. Yes, that's the part that you'll be able to program, and we already added that in there, where you can go in. You see now it says driver auto reminder, and you have the option go in there and change the parameter for that email. And so we already have placeholders for that, and that's going to be added soon. So where you can go in and define, if you don't want the driver information on there, you can just simply delete that tag, and it won't include the driver information, the driver phone number or the driver's name. But as far as your question about sending it automatic versus manual, it's either or. There's really no other way. It's just either have the system automatically send them, or you have to manually go in and select the order and click send, or click that particular bus and click send, or that driver and click send. So there is really no other options, just the two options. Okay, go ahead, Anthony. What's the other question?
Yeah, Damon has a question here. It says, how do we see expense versus revenue per bus? I can put the expenses in, but I don't see the report.
Yes, that's a good question. We initially when we added this feature in the system where you can see the expenses, it was more of a calculator type, a calculation type form where you could put in the various expenses and then figure out if the price that you're charging is sufficient for that charter. But it wasn't really. I didn't see a lot of feedback from our customers on this, so I didn't really go to the next step of creating like a profit and loss report for each trip. This is something that we like to do. Also, again, it all depends on the number of inquiries that we get. What's important to our customers? It's all about what you want, not us. This is something that I just came up with because I have taken over the years ago I took managerial accounting, and the managerial accounting uh, tells you that you really need to worry about a lot of different things before you can come up with a price, and that is what is your miscellaneous charges, what's your overhead, and so basically it was just more of a calculator more than anything. It wasn't supposed to be like more of a reporting per vehicle, but it can work that way, and I probably would want to see it that way down the line, and we'll add that for you. But in the meantime, no, there is really no way for you to get reports from every um, profit and loss for every bus like that. It's just for that particular charter, and you can view it and then decide, uh, if you need to charge more by doing your cost calculation. That's what I think he's referring to. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Let's see. More questions are coming in. Looks like we're going to be here for a while
Yeah.
because we still haven't
Do
answered.
you want to get to Alpha Omega's question that they sent in,
Sure.
that they emailed? Let's get
Yes.
to that one first, and then
Yeah.
we'll
Let's
answer
do
the.
that. Yeah, because yeah, they. I did get an email from Craig earlier. I think it was actually I think it was late Friday, and I wasn't able to answer it. The question was in regards to splitting, like if you have an invoice, if you have a charter that's a multi-day charter and goes over a month, so maybe it starts in June, end of June, um, and then it goes into July, um, and so maybe it's 3 days in June and then the rest of July or part of July, and then they want to be able to um, consider the portion that um, they received money for the portion that they sold in July, and then the part for June in June. And that's a problem right now because we create one invoice per work order. Because if you have a multi-bus move and each one is, let's say, it's at $600, one might be at $700 for one bus, and then another one for 1,000 in June, and then part of that order goes on to the next month. um, we create one invoice, and when you receive the money, it's that day that you receive the money, or the day that you put in as the date entered, is when we consider that as cash receipt. And so by doing it in just as part of the order, you will have a problem because obviously it's going to create one invoice, one invoice date, and then you won't be able to split it. So the way that you were told, I guess that was um, going to be split into multiple orders, is going to resolve the issue for now. That's the quick answer. I am going to be talking to our programmer and more like CPA and accountant, and see if we can um, kind of remedy that situation where you can have cash and accrual as part of the same order with multi-day trips. Currently, that's the only way to resolve it. I mean, the end result would be probably the same, in terms of the the dispatching and but it's just that the dispatcher will see the same information, but I think it's just the accounting is going to see um, two invoices instead of one. So that is what you were told, Greg, was true, that that's the best way to do it, because we really don't have any immediate solution for splitting that into multiple invoices and as part of one work order. Okay. Um, let's see. Let's see. We have some questions from Tammy. Let's go into that. Is there a way to block the initial company login from being used in the personal login screen? My screen. Yes. One thing you want to do is, I think, definitely watch our video on the logins, tv.driver.com. I
I
highly
think
recommend
that
that you watch this
video,
video.
that video though is specific to cloud login, and they have the system on their own
Tammy,
server.
no, Tammy is on. They're on our system. They're on our cloud.
Oh, okay.
Works
I'm
on.
sorry.
Yeah,
Wrong. I'm thinking wrong customer. Sorry.
yeah. No, okay, now they are. Yeah, they are on our. That's the program in login, and Anthony put together this for us, and it's on their program login and multi-level security. Anthony put together this video, and it talks about in detail how to create users and make the passwords unique to them, and also um, locking certain parts of the program so that they can access it. And if you try, please watch this video and then get together with myself or Anthony, either later today or tomorrow, and we can um, look at this situation for you. But it's still just a matter of uh, limiting features by user, and then obviously you want to make sure that each user has a unique password. You don't want
And
your
then
supervisor to be, uh, you know, um, Tammy. Absolutely no. Don't make it same password as your name, as your login name. That's going to create problems.
in addition, we do have a new thin client login that
Yes,
you can show them there.
yes. And you can download that. And I think Donna's already downloaded that. A lot of our customers already downloaded that. You go to d.driver.com, and then you download the thin client here and you reinstall it. Make sure it'll probably just close the existing thin client. But if you
Yeah, you
download
want to
that,
right click that and download it to save it to your desktop.
right. Now, in the case of CDC, you don't need to do that. You probably want to just do this one, and this should be done on your server. But in everybody else here, they're on the cloud. You can just download the server thin client. Once you download the server thin client, the the login will have an extra option here, which says remember credentials. Now, what's cool about this is that you could have somebody work in your office and they don't see the password for the cloud because it remembers the credentials, and they log in, they do the work. When they go home, they don't have access to the system because they don't know the password for the cloud. They know the server, they know the user, but they don't know the password. So we added this feature where you could say remember credentials and then log in. Okay.
Yeah, and but please remember that this is the thin client is for Windows operating systems. That will not work on Mac systems.
Correct. This is only applicable if you're using a Windows machine like Windows 10 or earlier. And the remember credentials is also really cool because it saves you a lot of typing every day. You just simply have it remember your credentials, and your security level is inside DriveWare anyway. So everything is really controlled inside DriveWare. So if somebody needs to leave your company and they're leaving the company, the first thing you do is you delete them from your user list. You go to the user list and you delete them, and then they can't access the program. Even if they had the cloud login and password, they still can't log into the system because your password is unique to you, Tammy. So it's Tammy and then your unique password. So even if the person in your office had the cloud login information, they still can't log into your program. That's why it's important that you make your username unique. I know that I want to talk to Craig about implementing more security for them because they have multiple users, and it's easier to not have, you know, um, unique logins, but it creates some issues because each user, when they create reports, we need to know which user is logged in so that we can create their own unique. We have to have a unique folder for each company, for each user. Each of the people that log in to our system basically will have their own unique name. Like, see, I have a folder called J. So it's important that they have the the unique login name, because when we're creating the PDFs and we were creating the uh, like some settings for each window, like maybe Craig has a large screen for his dispatch for his dispatching, but then the salesperson only has a small screen, and there's a setting in here that tells that system that Craig can have so many columns on his dispatch grid, but then Joe maybe in the cells is only going to maybe using a small monitor, so he can't really see everything. So he needs to. Every person should have their own settings. So if you don't log in with your own name, you could run into some issues. Damon is asking about the expenses for the boss expenses. Where is the report? Well, the expenses, I believe, let me just refresh my memory. Definitely this screen that I showed you, there is really no reporting for this. This was just a calculator again. So there's no reporting for this. If you're talking about the bus expenses, I think you're talking about this fuel usage expenses. Again, I'm not sure if this is, yeah, it's Damon says yes, that's what he's looking at. I'm not sure where we are using that. I know that this was a requirement for, this came from our maintenance, I believe. Uh, I don't think there is any reporting on this right now. I'm pretty sure. I can check it and let you know. I can let you know. But if you have any specific report that you have in mind that you're looking for, so you're saying that you want looking for, you're saying that you're looking for vehicle expense and vehicle revenue report. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Probably if you just we run a report based on these two tabs. I think you for basically on the sales, and then but the problem is that this is not specific to a work order. So this is just a vehicle expense, not so much a vehicle expense related to a work order. Because this is, if you notice, this is under the vehicle, not under the work order. I think what you're looking for is, okay, so you're looking for a vehicle and sales and vehicle revenue report. Yes. So then, yeah, that would work. So if we already have the the sales by vehicle, so you could put a date range in there, and then what I can do is I can add for you include cost or expense, and if you run it for the whole year, I'll just add a checkbox here, and then what I'll do is I will loop through those expenses, and then when you're running the report, I will generate another column for you for expenses. Okay. We also like to welcome Starline Tours to our list of customers. We recently signed up Starlines. Their other division, Tour Coach, was using our system for many years. Starline's using corporate coach charters. We'd like to welcome them. They joined us. Again, we really appreciate your referrals. If you have anyone in your area that's looking to automate or looking for systems, majority of our customers are coming from referrals. Although in the coming month, Anthony is working on putting together some marketing campaign for us, but we really could use referrals. Those are the best type of customers to have, really, because they already know somebody who's using it and they're happy with it. Tour Coach basically was using it for many years, and they got their Starline division. There's some other people there that were using a different system, and they took them a couple of months, but they are finally all aboard with our system. Same thing with Corporate Coach. We'd like to welcome them. There's all referrals. People that were using our system, refer them. We appreciate that. Thank you. Any other questions? Anything else, Anthony, we want to cover?
Nothing that I can think of. I think we covered quite a bit today.
Sure. Tammy, yes, we'll definitely do that for you. Anthony will remind me on that web portal set up for them.
Yeah, we got Damon and Gold Star both.
Yeah, we'll set them up. No problem. Yeah, our system is ready for that. We're just doing a final. Craig says, "Good session." Thank you, Craig. Thanks for attending. This is for you. I mean, we are doing this to hear from you. It's not about us, and we can't sit here and start programming or tell my programmer to. I don't even know what to tell my programmer to do, because we have to first, have a session with you to make sure that what we're doing it the right way, and we're on the right track. So thank you. The other thing is we definitely want to do this every week. Bring your suggestions. We're definitely open, and we're willing to work on your suggestions, add them to the system. We are doing a major upgrade to our entire programming environment, and so some of these servers are going to be updated over the weekend. I just did it for one of our servers, OAB, but the other servers has to be done over the weekend because it requires that everybody be logged out. So some of the updates that we do, it's quick. We just install it and everybody gets it. But some of the updates, we have to make sure that the people are logged out of the system before we can replace the files. And so I did one of the servers. We had some small issues Monday and Tuesday and resolved them. And so we're ready to deploy it on all the other servers to add the text messaging, to give you the additional features. And so, you'll be probably by next week, most of the servers will be updated. Okay, thank you, Damon, for your suggestions on the vehicle expense and the revenue report. I will add that to the list for sure. Tammy just left, so we can follow up with her on that. And CDC, if you need some personal, definitely I should probably update your system with the latest. That would be easy to do for you guys. If you need me to connect with you later today, we'll be happy to do that, or Anthony can give you some basic training on the system. I think it'll be a good time for you to do that since you guys are getting on board. So let us know. Great. Thank you. I think we're all set, and I'll record this session. We'll post it on YouTube later. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.